Be Derek D. Be Derek D. Come on. You. Ready? Today on Shakedown, a Formula E debrief. Formula E, the electric racing series coming in 2014, and now with IndyCar Racing's Andretti Autosport as one of the 10 teams that will compete. And now let me tell you how I got to this topic for today. You know, I'm not just a Drive host. I'm a fan of Drive in that I watch every show, and the shows inspire me to think of other cars and topics related to what Mike Musto, JF Musial, Larry Kosilla, Chris Harris, and Michael Spinelli present. Like Monday's Musto and his mid-engine Corvair made me think of the Yanko Stinger Corvair race car of years ago. Here it is competing against a Ford GT over at Daytona. And how about this Corvette concept with its V8 placed truly rear engine, like a real Corvair, not mid like the Corvair muscle Mike showed us. And then Mike tried to compare the mid Corvair to a mid-engine Porsche Cayman. Well, Caymans race in Grand Am's GX class, World Challenge, and even the Conti Tire Challenge, I think. But Porsche doesn't officially approve that because 911 is the official Porsche GT racing program. But take that idea of Porsche, rear engine, and mid-engine, and again, inspired by Big Muscle's Corvair, I get to show you this Fab Car Engineering IMSA GT 911 from the mid-90s. Also not Porsche approved, because maybe it's the only mid-engine 911 race car ever built and ever raced. So, Yanko Stinger, rear-engine Corvette concept, this Fab Car mid-engine 911, you now have your Google search assignments for the weekend. And how about from Driven? The Aston Martin visit the JF made me think of Carroll Shelby's Aston Martin Le Mans winner from many years ago. Drive Clean used a contemporary Ford GT to discuss finish surfacing, and that made me again think of Shelby. This time the original Ford GTs, airflow over their surface, and this 1965 7-liter car that went to Le Mans and sprouted all sorts of aero Band-Aids all over its surface to keep the car on the ground. Then Chris Harris covered 2 German sports sedans, and that made me think of A, DTM German touring cars, coming or not to the US. They're now talking 2017 or not, or still on plan for 2015 and 16 or not, depending on which press release you read. And of course, Germany forces me to think of Bernie Ecclestone's German bribery indictment. And will he drift from F1 or slide away from the charges? And that was a bad joke. And finally, Mike Spinelli's hypercar talk on Afterdrive made me think of Formula E, today's topic, the ultimate efficiency technical exercise packaged not as a hypercar, but as a racing series, and coming to the world and the US next year. So today on Shakedown, a Formula E debrief. And if this doesn't spark the discussion on what makes racing interesting, what's required of racing to be racing, like noise, why should racing even be efficient, and what will we call a Formula E pit stop when they don't change tires or swap batteries? They jump into a whole nother car. They switch cars. If none of that electrifies your urge to discuss, then your passion battery may be dead. And that was the final bad joke of the intro. Formula E racers will swap race cars in the pits. Someone called Zipcar or Hertz, because this feels like a perfect sponsorship connection. Okay, wait a minute. Let's start this Formula E debrief not with the drama details like the pit stops, but with the basic facts. 10 races for open-wheel electric race cars sanctioned by the FIA. Season 1, September 2014 to June 2015. Races in cities around the world, and there are 10 candidate cities: Berlin, Bangkok, Beijing, Buenos Aires, London, Los Angeles, and Miami in the US. Put somewhere in Malaysia, because I can't pronounce that name, Rio, and Rome. 10 teams, 2 drivers, 4 cars, because the pit stops changing cars, remember? Races are 1 hour or so in length, a minimum of 2 pit stops required per race. There are standing starts. The cars are going to be built with low drag, low downforce. $500,000 purse at every race to encourage pro drivers to participate. The engines will be restricted to power saving mode, which is 133 kilowatt, 180 brake horsepower, but can be temporarily increased to their max power, 200 kilowatt, 270 brake horsepower, by using its push-to-pass boost system. So from a standpoint of performance, think F2000 and or the Formula Mazdas as the pace that I think these cars will race. Now, Formula E is an open championship, meaning the series gives car manufacturers and constructors the opportunity to showcase their electric energy innovations in a racing environment, in designing their own race cars and technology, but of course to the specifications set out by the FIA. But there's room for innovation, I guess, so that makes it cool. And the partners are signing on. We've got Williams F1 for the batteries, lithium batteries to start, McLaren for electronics and powertrain management, Renault to push their e-technology development and their image, Michelin, the tires, and Dallara, the first chassis builder. And already an electric road car startup called Bluebird says they're going to build their own Formula E chassis versus that Dallara, in addition to their DC50 road car sports car, all of that electric. So far, 3 teams have committed. Drayson Racing, and maybe you know them from their Lola E electric LMP car that they've been developing to prove out e-technology. Now they say they'll race here in Formula E and maybe design their own race car too. By the way, the Drayson team just set an electric race car speed record at 204 miles per hour with that Lola E. Next team up, China Racing, and no, the plane crash pilots reported by that San Francisco TV station are not the drivers for the team. I'm not going to do any more names. Please don't in the comments. Be very careful. And now the third team that's reported, Andretti Autosport, entering Formula E. So, unlike F1, we have a US presence in a global open-wheel series with a pretty good race team. Go to the Formula E site and scout around on all the info that is there. But here come the questions for you. Do you like the idea of all electric car racing? Why yes or why no? Do you see and think that racing is pushing technology forward and that's a good thing, like this Formula E series is doing? But also, 2014 F1, look at those designs. They're going to have the smallest engines ever, turbocharging, KERS, and a whole bunch of energy recapture technology. And how about Toyota and Audi hybrids over in World Endurance Championship and at Le Mans? They're dominating the story. And at Le Mans also next year, Nissan with their ZOD, I think they pronounce it, that electric race car running in Garage 56. And how about Porsche? The 918 is a test bed for all sorts of hybrid technology, efficiency technology for the road and race car. And I'm pretty sure a lot of it's going to transcend its way into the LMP1 race car that will also be at Le Mans with Porsche 2014. And by the way, are you okay with a different sound for performance in race cars? Go to YouTube and hear the Formula E cars and even that Drayson Lola E and tell us what you think about that sound, that electric sound, as being representative of performance and speed versus a screaming V12 or the absence of it, as Derek Bell lamented in one of those drivens. But now I'm just picking on a legend, so I'm all wrong. And will you even watch Formula E? In my opinion, all of this is fine. It's not a travesty to the tradition and essence of racing. Formula E is racing, and racing is, or should be, always built to push forward innovation, reliability, speed, performance, and technology. And efficiency has always been part of racing. So BFD if now the efficiency is being defined and developed via hybrid, battery tech, and ultimately for Formula E, full electric power. And not that I know personally, but yes, some rich people actually care about fuel efficiency, because I've read that in your comments. Just because some investment trader or tech buyout bazillionaire can afford $1 million hypercar and probably buy out British Petroleum doesn't mean that he or she wants or needs to drain all of BP's gas and oil reserves through his supercar fuel tank, does it? Bottom line, Formula E, it's a good addition to the motorsport arena. Do you think so or not? Or in a future 2023 drive show, we'll be flashing back and saying, hey, remember when that Formula E thing started and what a stupid idea that was? So give me your comments about Formula E coming to the world in America next year. Thanks for watching. We're off to Mossport, a bunch of other news.